Welcome back to Two Trees in a Pod with Alyssa and Sam, where we talk about all things life and relationships and tie it back to faith. I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Sam.
And today we're excited to talk to you about childlike faith. Let's get into it. Welcome back and happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
It's episode 42. We're happy to be here. Someone pointed out to me that we say that we're tired a lot. We were aware of that. We're not tired today, though. I had a coffee at 5 p.m. and we're recording right after, so we're doing well. How are you doing, Sam?
Doing phenomenal. This is going to be our first podcast episode of Q4 of 2024.
Okay, business.
Oh, yeah. We've done this for 9 months now.
Yeah.
9 solid months.
Going on month 10.
And this will be the first episode of month 10.
Also, happy October.
Happy October.
How are we doing this spooky month?
All the trees are starting to change colors, and it's really nice outside, and it's that perfect crisp weather where you go for like 65-degree walks with a light sweatshirt on, and it's perfect.
You can't convince me that there's anything better than New England fall. Like, New Hampshire
75-degree late summer beach weather.
That's nice too. But like, ooh, we got some road noises today. Anyways, we had a drive this weekend. I had a drive. We were in upstate New York, and that drive from New Hampshire to upstate New York is like just straight highway with all these trees. And like half of them were red and orange. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. I didn't even feel like on the way back, I was like, I don't even want to look at my phone or my book or anything. Because like these trees are just so nice. So like, I don't know. I'm just in a fire mood about it all. And then I get another drive back to upstate New York in like a month. And the trees are all going to be red by then. So we've got big things coming.
I think that example of just being so fascinated with the leaves and how beautiful everything is a perfect tie-in to our episode today about childlike faith and just noticing and realizing and being in the moment.
That's childlike joy.
Like, imagine you're a kid on a long car ride and you see all the leaves changing and you're not on your phone, you're not driving, you're not texting, you're not preoccupied. You're just staring out the window looking at everything.
When you were a kid, and you were in the car and it was raining, did you used to have the raindrops race as they'd fall down the side of the window?
I think so. That sounds familiar.
Because I would stare at I would pick 2 raindrops and I would watch them like roll down the window, like the side window in the back of the car, and like it would be like a race. And we used to do lots of road trips when I was younger. Like we would drive to Alabama, we'd drive to Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, like, oh my gosh, from Pennsylvania.
My long road trips were 15 minutes to my grandparents.
So I had a lot more delusion time in the car than you, is what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
But I would like do that for like 5 straight hours. And I would be fine, and it would be fun. But yeah, today we're talking about childlike faith, and I guess childlike joy comes into it. But like, what does it mean as an adult? Like, because childlike is kind of insulting to some people when you're like, oh, like you're being childish. But childlike faith is a really positive thing. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, in the Bible we're called to have childlike faith, and that our faith should be like that. So I think a great example of, just what that might look like is you're, 5, 6, 7 years old, and you're fully cognizant and aware of Christmas and Santa. And you have that belief in Santa and all of these. Santa's fully real. You know it's real. People told you it's real. And eventually it gets to that unfortunate older stage where your reality kind of gets crushed and you realize that Santa is, spoiler alert, not at your parents. But
you're such a hater for that.
But that sort of faith that a child has, that they can't even conceptualize a lie in that sort of manner, or a deception, or something that, doesn't hold true. We're called to have that faith in Christ. we know that he's capable of all things. We know that everything is possible through him, and we know that everything is going according to his plan. That is a very difficult concept that only seems to get harder with age as we obtain more facts, obtain more logic,
think we're smarter,
live more life, and do more things. So the concept of having a childlike faith, of just knowing everything is going to be okay because he has a perfect plan, can really easily be sidetracked by, well, logically this doesn't make sense. Well, realistic. Kids believe in Santa and they're told that he comes down the chimney.
That's a big boy coming down the chimney.
So to be frank, my house and many others, the chimney would lead to the furnace. There wasn't even a place for Santa to pop out. So that doesn't make any sense at all. But you still believe in Santa. That sort of childlike faith where you're not... And this isn't saying that you're living life irrationally, but it is knowing that all things are possible through God and living life knowing that. And it's difficult to kind of separate the facts and logic that you're aware of and the life that you've lived and still say, and this is all going perfect according to plan, and having faith.
Was it one of our pastors who, because everybody knows Sam has faith like a child, like we all know his spiritual gift is faith and peace, like it's so obvious. And we were having a discussion with I think it was one of our pastors, and we were talking about the rapture and Revelation, and he was like, yeah, we're all talking about how stressed we are, how anxious we are about like what's gonna happen. Sam's just the guy sitting there who will be like, well, duh, the Bible said it's gonna happen, so of course it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be good because it's from God, duh. Like that's like childlike faith, because so many people get so, like, when the eclipse happened, people were freaking out about that being like the rapture and whatever, and Sam's just chilling like,
if it's the rapture, cool, I'm saved, I am all set.
It's like, either it is or it isn't. Whatever it is, it's God's plan, so why are we stressing? Like, that's your faith and
I like
peace
the tone.
combined.
I like the tone of voice you use for me.
Yeah, because that's how you sound. We're going to play this back, and it's like you're not going to be able to tell if it's me or you speaking, because that's how you sound.
Mm-hmm.
With love.
With love.
With love. But no, that is like the faith and the peace that you have, and those are such wonderful spiritual gifts. All spiritual gifts are wonderful, but to see that, like, I'm so close to you, so seeing that exhibited through the most minor things in life, like, as someone whose faith is so strong, what is it like to go through day-to-day tasks and day-to-day decision-making with that spiritual gift of faith?
It's just nice knowing that whatever happens, whether or not it's enjoyable or not, that there's purpose to it. There's plenty of things that aren't fun, I don't enjoy, and I would deem them bad. I would say some things are a bad part of my day. Mm-hmm. You know, things can just happen that I'm like, okay, that was just not fun. That was a bad thing. I wish that didn't happen. But knowing that, okay, maybe I didn't enjoy that, but there is a purpose behind that, and in some way that's going to come into effect down the road in a positive way, because all things are good. In the moment, it's real easy to be like, well, I really wish that didn't happen. But it's really peaceful knowing, well, it's going to be fine. Okay, whatever happened, it's meant to be. Everything's all right.
And even if something happens that's like from like darker energy or like wasn't a part of God's plan, when you have that faith in God, you give God the opportunity. Not that you need to give God the opportunity, but like you do need to give him space to work in your life. He will use things that weren't necessarily a part of his plan to become a part of his future plan, right? And that's why you can have the peace in the chaos and in the negative, because God's not out here making like a ton of bad things happen in the world, because half that stuff, more than half that stuff, we as human beings are doing. But if you let God work through faith by grace, good things happen out of it.
See, I look at that and I think I might challenge that. I think
here we go.
Everything that happens is God's plan, and it's all for the greater good. Even those things that you're like, how could this be part of God's plan? No part of this was enjoyable. even those things, remember that his ways are not our ways. Those things that aren't enjoyable, those things that we deem bad, those things that may come out of nowhere that you're like, why am I going through this? What is the purpose? Why am I, in some circumstances, why am I suffering? What is the purpose of this suffering? And you will see in a lot, that is a very rampant topic in the secular side of arguing Christianity. Well, if God is so good, why do all these terrible things happen? And the hard part of that question is because people asking that question are expecting an answer. And truly having faith is humbling yourself, saying, well, there isn't an answer and we don't know. We won't have an answer because we are human with incomplete knowledge and we're never going to know. So, to the question of why does God allow terrible things to happen? Well, what are you deeming terrible? And how are these things all working together? So if everything was... You can picture, okay, everything is hypothetically perfect in your mind. Well, then what are you drawing the difference between good and bad if everything is one thing?
Yeah.
There is no good and bad. It is just a singularity that there's nothingness. So without good, you can't have bad. Without bad, you can't have good. And we recognize that. And we recognize that these bad things don't come from God. It is humans who have corrupted these good things we've gotten from God. It is difficult to look at that and say, okay, well, how does all this make sense? And that's where having a childlike faith comes in. It's I don't know. I don't know how it all makes sense. And that's okay. It's okay to not know. Something in the age of technology and information that we live in makes everyone need to be an expert on every single topic and have full knowledge of every single situation. Where having childlike faith is going the opposite direction and saying, I don't know. Not only I don't know, but other people don't know either. And it's okay to have knowledge and research things and trying to understand things, but to come down to the very fact that you don't and can't know everything. You will never have that. No one will.
You might have it in heaven.
Exactly. In heaven, you will know all things and have all things. But as humans, none of us can know everything nor understand everything. And trying to take that burden of understanding and justifying everything is exhausting because, newsflash, you and I, we are not God. We will never understand or be able to justify everything. And that's why childlike faith is so important, because that is the justification. Knowing that his ways are higher than our ways and that we can't understand.
Sam's really good about talking about all this, but he's also really good at putting it into action in the most minor of ways and in the most major of ways. Like, you've been through some pretty significant life challenges, and then, of course, the minor ones that are just day-to-day typical things, or even just, like, kind of medium ones. Like, I feel like this past month we've just had, like, kind of a stack of, like, like, negative energy, and it's just tough to deal with, and, like, for me personally, it's really hard to deal with. And then you're just like, well, if X didn't happen, then Y wouldn't have happened, Alyssa. Can't you see how this was part of God's plan for us? Or can't you see how God used this? Like, that's always super helpful to me because, yeah, I've got faith, but I don't have faith like you have faith. Like, you've got faith in every situation, no matter what. And I'll be like, oh, what the heck, God? What are you doing here? Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And then you're just like, nope, this is just must be what's meant to be happening. I'm like, oh my God.
That's where in the moment, so in hindsight, it feels very, very easy to say, okay, well, this is why that happened. Look at what happened because of that. So in the moment, it's a much different scenario, but say something happened and it led to this happening, which led to this happening, which is the example you just brought up. In hindsight, I feel like I can pick out all these events and be like, well, this is exactly where God was working, because even though that situation wasn't enjoyable, if that didn't happen, we never would have had this happen. And that happened, and that was a really good thing. And we wouldn't have got to that point if that first thing that wasn't enjoyable didn't happen. And it all worked out for something even better that we wouldn't have pictured.
Yeah.
So working back from that logic, when we're going through that rough thing or that tough thing and we don't know what the next steps are, we know that there's going to be something better, and it's better than something we can imagine. Mm-hmm. And that's where he has plans better for you than anything you can imagine. You think of your dream life with all of the things that you think you want and how everything is supposed to go, and then come to the sobering conclusion that his plan's even better than that. Yeah. It might not look like that, but it's better.
Mm-hmm. You might not have any of it.
Exactly. And you might, and it's a hard concept to wrap around that his plan is better than what you might consider to be your wildest dream. But that's the most exciting part, is that think of the coolest things ever. Think of your dream, your plans, everything. And his plan's even better than that.
Yeah.
Think of everything you want. His plan's even better. Mm-hmm. How can you not go into all these situations and realize whatever's going on, it's just going to get even better? And that's not saying there won't be hard times, there won't be tough times, and there won't be frustrating points, because we're all human and we all go through struggle. But knowing that there's a plan for all of that struggle and that it's going to be used in a unique way just for you, that's going to be better than whatever you could picture, that's awesome. And that's why once you go, just like every other muscle, your faith muscle, when you work it out and it gets stronger, you notice it, feel it, and then you're more likely to rely on that muscle. And then you're more likely to keep working it out. And then it continues to get stronger.
And be confident in it too.
Exactly. So the next time you're going through one of those situations where it's like, I don't see what God's plan is, it's okay. You're not supposed to. None of us are fully aware of what God's plan is. But what we are fully aware is that it's a good plan and it's a perfect plan. So when you're in that situation, taking that step back and saying, this is all happening for a perfect reason, and even though I'm not enjoying it, I'm going to really enjoy what comes from it.
Yeah. And it might look nothing like what you have in mind in terms of a reward.
Exactly.
Which is the craziest thing, because what are the rewards that we think of as worldly people? You think money. Power,
house,
fame.
Positions, all those things. Mm-hmm. When that might be what you think is the best thing that will make you the happiest. But that may be God's plan for you, but it may not be. Whatever your dream plan is, his plan is even better.
Yeah. That's humbling to realize too, because you think you got it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And then God's like, just you wait. Just you wait. Step out in faith with me and see what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good... I was going to say rant, but it wasn't a rant. It was it's like TED Talk.
TED Talk.
That was pretty solid. Do you have anything else to add to that? Or are you mic dropping?
That's my TED Talk mic drop.
That's his mic drop. Well, thank you for coming to Sam's TED Talk today. No, thank you for coming and joining us wherever you are on our little podcast today. We really appreciate your ears and your listening too, because I know we're all so busy in this life, and to just have anybody take the moment to just listen to us whip out our podiums and talk about things that are important to us, it means a lot. And listening to Sam talk about his spiritual gift, it's pretty cool, always. So thank you for joining us on this fine Tuesday. Happy first day of October. Have a great rest of your week and stay blessed.